Welcome to the Line Life podcast. I'm Jeff Postlethwaite, Senior Editor of T&D World, and today we're bringing you more stories of the grit, courage, and inspirational teamwork that it takes to be a line worker.
Hello and welcome to the Line Life podcast. My name is Amy Fishbach and I'm the field editor for T&D World magazine and the host of the Line Life podcast. Before we dive into our audio story for today, I'd love to invite you to join our Line Life podcast community by going to linelife.podbean.com and clicking follow in the top right. You can also follow the Line Life podcast in your favorite podcasting app to be notified when new episodes are available. We air interview-style episodes the first and third Fridays of each month with line workers and those who support the line trade. And then on the second and fourth Fridays of each month, we feature audio stories which are narrated from T&D World's print magazine. Today, I'm excited to bring you a new audio story in our In Case You Missed It series. This article is titled Investigating Power Line RFI and is by Jon Backman, who I featured in a previous Line Life podcast episode and also in our Line Worker Focus department. Investigating Power Line RFI. Line workers can learn how to find and eliminate the noise. By Jon Backman, contributing writer. Imagine yourself driving home from work on a nice summer evening. You put in a few hours of overtime and the sun is just starting to sink low on the horizon. You have that satisfied feeling after finishing a long day on the job and the local baseball team is on the radio. It's the bottom of the ninth inning, your team is down by a run, and they just moved a runner to third. With 2 outs, your favorite player steps up to the plate. What better way to end the day than listening to your team rally for a comeback win? Just as a pitcher winds up to deliver the ball, your radio signal is overcome by the ear-splitting crackle of radio static. Stuck at a red light, all you can do is wait and listen to the popping white noise. Finally, the light turns green, and as you drive ahead down the road, that annoying crackle continues for a half mile before the fading static is replaced by the familiar voice of your team's announcer. Well, fans, it was a heck of a game tonight, and I can't believe what we all witnessed. I'm not sure such an exciting ending has ever occurred on a baseball diamond in my career. The feeling of satisfaction that your team won is somehow drowned out by the disappointment that you missed the critical moment, all because of that darn crackling radio static. Radio frequency interference, or RFI, has struck again. RFI is the effect of unwanted energy due to one or a combination of emissions, radiations, or inductions upon reception in a radio communication system, manifested by any performance degradation, misinterpretation, or loss of information, which could be extracted in the absence of unwanted energy, according to radio interference. In other words, something in the atmosphere caused by energy source interferes with clear radio transmission. Many different things can contribute to RFI, but perhaps the most common occurrence is found on overhead power lines. As power line workers, many of us may remember a sentence or two from our apprenticeship that reminded us about the importance of bending over the tails of our tie wires to prevent leaving an air gap and eliminate RFI or TVI. Beyond that information, most line workers don't get much education about our exposure to RFI. However, power companies do have a legal responsibility to respond to RFI issues caused by their system, investigate, and find a solution, as directed by the FCC ECFR 47 CFR 15.5, General Conditions of Operation. If these RFI investigations are done improperly, the results can be wasted time and money, and ultimately an unresolved issue that could escalate. Identifying sources of RFI. The sources of RFI on and around power lines are often not what line workers would expect. Power line RFI is a very specific occurrence. Simply put, it is created when two conductive surfaces or objects of a different potential become close enough, but not touching, for an arc to jump across that gap. Sometimes these conductive surfaces may not even appear to be touching, but are actually separated by only corrosion. Because of the nature of an AC sine wave and the constantly oscillating voltage 60 times per second, this arcing usually occurs at a very rapid pace, when the voltage required is high enough during each cycle. The spark then extinguishes and reignites repeatedly. This constant but predictable pattern creates a signature sound that the trained ear can often identify as RFI on the radio. Because of what they learned during their apprenticeship, line workers tend to look at tie wires for RFI. Beyond that, it is natural to look for loose hot taps, failing secondary connections, transformers, or cracked or dirty insulators. Though these can be RFI sources, they are rarely the culprits. Instead, guy wires, loose hardware, ground wires, and dead ends are often repeat offenders. Without proper training and locating tools designed specifically for Power Line RFI, it is almost impossible to accurately identify the precise cause of the radio interference. An RFI investigator might get lucky and narrow a search down to the offending pole, but if the exact point of the arcing isn't known, it's possible that too much line work will be done in an attempt at resolution. Although this may end up temporarily solving the customer's complaint, it leads to poor work practices by setting a standard for unnecessarily replacing too much equipment, which results in wasted time, money, and effort. This approach may also expose line workers to more hazards than necessary by working on or around energized equipment when it isn't needed. Getting trained on RFI troubleshooting. As a first response troubleman for my employer, I respond to all types of power outages, electrical emergencies, public safety concerns, customer needs, and more. At one point, I was offered the opportunity to add the task of RFI responder for my area, and I accepted. I was given a few foreign-looking tools, some old paperwork, and a brief lesson from a senior coworker who previously had this duty. I trudged along, responding to the occasional RFI complaint with limited success. At one point, I looked through the old paperwork I was given and found the contact information for Mike Martin from RFI Services. He has been working on RFI locating and troubleshooting for more than 40 years, and he has found that the need for his services has continued to grow every year. He was also the RFI training and locating expert on the IEEE committee that spent 5 years writing the IEEE's RFI Power Line Interference Standard for power companies. After visiting Mike's website, I discovered he was offering an RFI training and troubleshooting workshop later that year. Gaining approval from my supervisor, I made arrangements to attend the workshop, which was a game changer in my RFI learning process. Mike is a pioneer in the field of power line specific RFI investigation and has worked for decades on this specific issue. His 2-day workshop provides a combination of classroom information and hands-on fieldwork. After completing the training, I was eager to get back and put the lessons to work. Leveraging best practices. As the years have progressed, I've continued responding to customers' RFI complaints. Some have been more difficult than others, but with time and dedication, I've been able to find the source of the interference in most cases. I've learned the importance of initially having a conversation with the customer to find out the specific details of their complaint and observe the specific characteristics of the interference. After that, I follow a specific troubleshooting process to eliminate any possible RFI sources within the customer's own home, which I have found to be the case on multiple occasions. If the investigation moves outside the building and onto the overhead lines, I then use a set of RFI-specific tools in the troubleshooting process. The search begins broadly, by driving out to the nearby area while observing and listening to the feedback from a receiver attached to a truck-mounted antenna. That allows me to narrow the search to 1 or 2 poles or structures. Once there, I continue on foot with another device that allows me to scan each pole from top to bottom, quickly analyze every tie wire, insulator, nut, bolt, connector, etc., until I find a smoking gun. The final step in the process is to go up in the bucket with at least one RFI tool to get an absolute up-close verification of the source of the RFI. One great advantage I have in my current position is that I am a journeyman line worker and a trained RFI field investigator. This enables me to not only identify the source of the interference, but also to mitigate that noise source in many cases. If the scope of work requires multiple line workers or a full crew for safety or operational purposes, then I have direct access to initiating that process. There have been many times that I have responded to a customer's RFI complaint, met with them on site, tracked down the noise source, and eliminated the RFI all in one trip. This is as efficient as it gets, and as line workers, we all strive for safety and efficiency. As a line worker, RFI investigation has been an interesting experience in my career. I believe we all continue to learn, grow, and improve as electrical workers, and this nuanced branch of line work has given me a constant opportunity to evolve. Finding the right resources and people is a key factor in successfully building our skills as line workers. Editor's note: to learn more about Jon Backman and his passion for training others in the line trade, listen to a new episode of the Line Life podcast at linelife.podbean.com. Jon Backman is a journeyman line worker with more than 20 years in the line trade. He's also the founder of Making Connections, LLC, which focuses on consultation, training, and subject matter expertise about line work. Along with the article that we published in the May 2025 field-focused electric utility operations section in T&D World's print magazine, we also included a how-to sidebar called 7 Steps to Investigating RFI Location. When approaching RFI investigation, it is imperative to follow some specific steps. Number 1, get trained. Since RFI location is a specialized task, specialized training is a must. Number 2, always contact the complainant first. If possible, meet them on site to observe their interference. Number 3, invest in proper RFI locating tools and equipment. For example, one resource is a company called Radar Engineers. Number 4, follow the same process every time. Make sure you don't skip steps. Number 5, perform RFI field investigations on a dry day. Rain or atmospheric moisture will extinguish the RFI spark, making outdoor location nearly impossible. Number 6, follow all safety and procedural standards as required by the employer. Number 7, document each experience. RFI location and mitigation is a cumulative experience. You will find value in the notes you keep as you progress. Again, if you want to learn more about the author, Jon Backman, make sure you listen to the podcast episode or check out his profile on our website at tdworld.com. And if you work in the line trade or the electric utility industry and you'd love to share your story with T&D World, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on LinkedIn or reach out to me on the social media channels or send me an email at euoeditor@endeavorb2b.com. I'd love to hear from you and help you share your story in T&D World magazine and also as part of our In Case You Missed It series for the Line Life podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Line Life podcast.
This episode of the Line Life podcast was written, recorded, and edited by Amy Fishbach. It was produced by Jeff Postlewaite. That's me. To listen to past episodes, visit www.tdworld.com/podcasts or find us at Podbean. You could also drop us a voice memo or message at linelifepodcast@gmail.com with your comments on this episode. We'd love to hear from you. Please follow this show on Podbean or your favorite podcasting app to be updated when new episodes are released. Thank you for listening.